Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we're looking at the CDC's website with lead in drinking water. This is a huge problem whether you're in the United States or in a different place in the world. Wherever you're at, you should be aware of what's going on with your water, especially lead. As the most common sources of lead in drinking water are lead pipes, faucets, and plumbing fixtures. And certain pipes that carry drinking water from the water source to home may contain lead, and that includes household plumbing fixtures, welding solder, and pipe fittings made prior to 1986 may contain lead. So if you're wondering, is there lead in my house? Is there lead in my water? How can I be sure? Well, taking a look at old pipes might give you a clue, but that doesn't tell you everything. See, steps taken during the last 2 decades reduce exposure to lead in tap water. And these steps include actions taken under the requirements of the 1986 and 1996 amendments to the Safe Water Drinking Act and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Even so, lead in water can come from homes with lead service lines that connect to the home to main water lines. Homes without lead service lines may still have brass or chrome-plated brass faucets, galvanized iron pipes, or plumbing solder with lead. Some drinking water fountains with lead-lined tanks and other plumbing fixtures not intended for drinking water can also have that, such as lab faucets, hoses, spigots, hand-washing sinks, and other types of fixtures like that. Also, lead can enter drinking water when a chemical reaction occurs in the plumbing materials that contain lead, and this is known as corrosion. After pipes start to corrode, then lead particles get into the water. And the scary thing is you can't taste it, you can't smell it, you can't see it, you cannot detect it by the 5 senses. And it's more severe when the water has high acidity or low mineral content. How much lead gets into the water relates to the acidity or alkalinity, the types and amount of minerals in the water, the amount of lead that the water comes into contact with, water temperature, the amount of water in the pipes, how long the water stays in the pipes, the presence of protective scales or coatings in the pipes. So, how do you actually know if your water is contaminated with lead? See, here's the problem. You can't see it, you can't taste it, and you can't smell lead in drinking water. So the best way to know if there's exposure to lead in your drinking water is to identify a potential source of lead in your service line and household plumbing. You can also talk to your local water authority, and that's always your first source of testing and identifying lead contamination. And if you're still not sure, or if you still have doubts, it's always a good idea to have your water tested. Why? Because many public water systems will test drinking water for residents upon request. So you have to go and ask them, hey, I think there's an issue. Can you test this for me? But if you need a good third-party independent laboratory, there's also laboratories that are certified to test for lead in water. Understanding that water sampling results can vary along time of the day, season, method of sampling, flow of water, and other factors. Now, there's a lot of risk from lead because there's no safe blood level with lead. There are different types of heavy metals like iron, copper, that you can have some in your body, but there's no safe amount of lead. Even the EPA has set the maximum containment levels for lead in drinking water at 0 because it can be harmful to human health, especially for children as well. Now, there's some things you can do to reduce it. You can reduce or eliminate your exposure to lead in drinking water, but tapping or using tap water has been run through a point-of-use filter. Drink or cook with only water that comes out of the tap cold, and you can virtually eliminate your exposure to lead by drinking or using only bottled water. However, that's a temporary measure, so it's always a good idea to have your water periodically tested